Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Gemini Kast. I'm your host again today, Gerard Katz. Thank you all if you have been watching the previous episodes, and today I am here with a new guest host, my close friend and roommate, Mr. Jonah Ross.
Gerard, did you know that the director of The Happening and Lady in the Water, M. Night Shyamalan, is the writer of Stuart Little?
I did not, but I don't think I ever wanted to. So, I mean, I guess that's a fun fact.
It is.
So Jonah here is a close friend of mine. We're going to have him on the show pretty periodically, along with some of the other guest hosts that y'all have already heard from. But to go ahead and kick us off like we have with all of our other guest hosts, Jonah, do you want to tell us your favorite game of all time and why it's your favorite game?
That's tough, but I usually always go to Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the PS2, the old one, because I have so much nostalgia linked to that game. I used to play it with my dad all the time. I just love Star Wars so much. It's probably the game I have the most time on as well.
It's a solid franchise as well.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
for the most part,
yeah. It's got some iffy stuff in there, which we also inherently disagree on. So maybe at some point we'll have to kick off a Star Wars episode and have those discussions.
That'll be fun.
Awesome. So today our episode is going to be about a look back on the PS4 as we approach the PS5 releasing at the end of this year. I'd say overall it's been a pretty good console generation. We've had some good games. So what I guess we're going to go ahead and do is talk about, I'd like us to list our top 10-ish games of all time, and we're going to kind of discuss our top 5 that appeared on the PS4. They don't have to be exclusives, just kind of your favorite games that appeared on the system.
Okay.
So if you want to go ahead and start, give me your 10 through 5, just so we can have it here from them, and any like honorable mentions that didn't quite make your top 10.
So I have several honorable mentions.
Excuse me, 10 through 6.
Oh yeah, of course. I have several honorable mentions. I made a top 15 list just to be safe, but I'll go through 15 through 11 really quick. 15 I have Jedi Fallen Order. 14 I have Mortal Kombat 10. 13 I have Battlefront 2. 12 I have Devil May Cry 5. And 11, I have the Spyro trilogy that they remastered.
Okay.
So for 10, I have Kingdom Hearts 3. For 9, I have Borderlands 3. For 8, I have Infamous Second Son. 7, I have Injustice 2. And 6, I have Spider-Man.
That's a pretty solid list. I would agree with a lot of those. To kind of get into mine, my number 9 was Overwatch. Number 8 was Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 7 was Shadow of War. And my number 6 was Borderlands 3.
Okay.
So Borderlands 3, phenomenal game.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And see, I would probably love those like Shadow of War and Red Dead, but I've never played either of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know they are fantastic.
The PS4 has such a large library. It's kind of hard to play everything that is on it. But yeah, those are all some great games. A lot of those did appear on multiple systems. Like, for instance, I have Overwatch on my list. I didn't really play it on PS4. I mostly played it on PC. But because it does also appear on PS4, I went ahead and listed that as well. Because I love the franchise. Very excited for Overwatch 2. I know that's a divisive opinion. But I am very excited for Overwatch 2.
Right.
So let's go ahead. I figured for our top 5, we'll bounce back and forth. We'll have a little bit of discussion on each of them. And yeah, we'll just move on from there. So if you want to go and give me your number 5 best game that appears on the PS4.
All right. I put Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Ooh, I have definitely heard you scream about that one.
A few times, yes. A few times.
I didn't think you actually liked it. I thought it was like a bad drug addiction that just keeps bringing you in.
I just love to hate it. Oh, it's just... Oh, but as much as it pisses me off, it's probably my favorite fighting game of all time. And I have such a close bond with the Dragon Ball franchise. It's hard to find fighting games as balanced as Fighters. Up until
Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Oh my god, yeah. The Meta Knight was so balanced, wasn't he?
You have a trip mechanic.
That's true, yeah. Everybody thinks that Brawl is the best Smash for a good reason. Let's not forget about Ice Climber wobbling either.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fighters, I think it's just an all-around really good game. As much as it pisses me off, it is really well balanced. It's hard to pick up a character and say, oh no, that guy sucks, because no one really sucks in the game right now. Maybe you could have said that last year with like Jiren and Krillin because their assists were really bad. But all things considered, Fighters is a good game. It just makes me mad.
Well, my number 5 is a lot more of a calming game, and it's also another going to be pretty divisive opinion. I've never been a big Hideo Kojima fan. Metal Gear has never clicked for me. That being said, Death Stranding was my knockout surprise.
Really? That high?
I really like Death Stranding. From the music itself, as the music would crescendo as you walked over these huge cliffs and like overlooked this barren wasteland, or like you'd see a city in the distance. The combat wasn't phenomenal, but it also wasn't the drawing point for the game. Like, it wasn't about the combat. So that aspect was fine. The visuals were stunning. Of course, it was made on the Decima engine, which is kind of PlayStation's new proprietary engine. The team who made Horizon Zero Dawn is the people who created the Decima engine.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
But yeah, it was such a calming, relaxing, unique game. I really liked it. The story was completely nonsensical. I still couldn't tell you what happens in it.
That's Kojima for you.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. It's one that I haven't quite finished yet, but I need to go back and put that last... I think I maybe have 5 hours left in it. So
isn't it a pretty long game too?
Yeah, I think I'm sitting at about 60 hours. I think you maybe could beat it a little bit faster than that, but I did a lot of the side stuff. And I have a bad habit in games that I get from Skyrim, where instead of taking the path that leads you there, that might be winding, I go in a straight line somewhere.
Jump over the mountains and everything.
And in Death Stranding, that doesn't really work.
Oh no.
But I would do it anyway and lose all of my cargo.
No!
So there's a video clip from at one point where I was streaming on Twitch of me. It's about 30-minute long segment of me trying to cross a river, falling in the river. All my packages flow down the river. I finally go get them. So then I try and cross the river again. And then I fall again. And then they all just go back into the river again. So I very clearly didn't learn my lesson.
Yeah.
But I really like the game. There's a lot of different ways to tackle that kind of stuff. And it had some neat ideas. But yeah, your number 4.
My number 4 is Detroit Become Human.
That's one I didn't finish. I played probably the first 5 hours and then watched you play the last 2.
Right. The ending is incredible. The entire narrative is fantastic. The people who make that game, I don't know what their name is. I know they've made Heavy Rain also. They know how to write a story.
Mm-hmm.
They are incredible. I love the fact that there are, 21 different endings or something like that?
A ridiculous number.
It's freaking ridiculous. But I'm always interested in stories that talk about, like, a different society than ours and how other societies can still be discriminatory in different ways. That's kind of like how I like My Hero and stuff like that. How they're discriminatory against quirkless people. Well, these people are discriminatory against the androids. But yeah, I just think it's an incredible story.
Yeah, it was very good. Do you have a favorite character between Connor, Marcus, and Kara?
Kara, I think is right.
Yeah.
I think I like Marcus the best.
Okay.
But the memes with Connor are the best.
That's one I definitely need to go back and play. I really enjoyed what I played of it, and even having watched you play the last 2 hours, it's very likely I get a completely different ending from you, so It's not like that much was spoiled.
You can do one different thing than me, and someone can die and someone can live.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll definitely have to get back around to that one. My number 4, unfortunately this is going to be another one I didn't play on PS4, but I really like it, and it is on the PS4.
Which one
so is it? It's going to be Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay.
I really liked it. It was a unique new take to the franchise that Origins had kind of already previously established.
Mm-hmm.
Origins kind of set the way for what Odyssey was to become, and Odyssey had these gorgeous, giant Greek landscapes and these huge oceans, and it was like a true sense of like, you could go to an island that to you no one had ever visited, and you could stop there and you could meet the indigenous people of that island, and you could have a little hour-long adventure like a episode of a TV show, and then hop on your boat and go somewhere else and do the same thing again, but with a new element of story, with new characters. Every time you went to a new island, it was this huge sense of exploration. The combat was fun. It's one that I'm currently kind of working my way through, so I'm not quite done with it yet. It is a long game, and the only thing that would make me hesitate to recommend it to a person is I think Ubisoft has gotten really good about how they handle microtransactions for the most part. Most of the time, their microtransactions are just cosmetic things. Mm-hmm. It's just outfits, gun skins, that kind of stuff. But one of the microtransactions in this game is if you pay an additional $10, it doubles the XP that you receive from every mission, which makes the game feel like a regular RPG. Like, there is so much grinding and nonsense in Assassin's Creed. You have to do every side quest to be able to be the correct level for the main quests. So it just takes a long time, and having to pay $10 to allow you to get double XP, so then maybe you don't need to do all the side quests. Normally, the way I play games is I book it through the main story and then go back to the side quest that interests me. And it's not really an option, and it feels like that should be more of an accessibility toggle rather than something that I need to pay for.
Yeah, that's kind of silly. Like, for completionists, that would probably be okay. But like you said, for someone like you, you almost feel obligated to spend that $10, which I don't know if that's a good business practice.
I haven't done it yet, and I don't think I will. I have been playing through literally all of the side quests and still enjoying the game. So like, there is still some stuff there. It just seems kind of disingenuous to have that as a paid for option.
Yeah.
It'd be like not quite the same, but it's almost similar to having subtitles be locked behind a $2 paywall.
Just something silly.
Something like little that benefits the audience in a way. Like, not everyone has the time to sink 80 hours into this RPG, so that cuts off those people now who aren't going to stay interested in it. It seems like having that as a toggle will allow more people to play the game and more people to enjoy it. So it was just something, like I said, I love the story so far. I'm playing as Cassandra. I think, I forget the voice actress's name, but she nails the role. And it's just a very good game. I recommend it to anyone who loves Western RPGs.
Okay, cool. Is it your favorite Assassin's Creed?
Probably.
Okay.
I really like Black Flag, and actually, until you said that, this generation has been so long that I forgot Black Flag came out on the PS4.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it came out right as the PS4 came out on both PS3 and PS4.
That's right.
But I, at the time, was on the 360, so I played it there. So I didn't even think about it having come to the PS4.
I honestly forgot it was on the PS4 too. I thought it was PS3.
So maybe Assassin's Creed Black Flag would be up there too. I'd have to think about that.
Okay.
So go ahead with your number 3.
My number 3 is going to surprise you.
Okay.
It is a game that I do not even play anymore.
Okay.
It is Overwatch.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that does shock me.
Because Overwatch is one of the very few games that I quit because it made me so mad. And honestly, I sunk so much time into it. I made so many friends playing it. I got closer to some of the friends I already had. And up until the later seasons, I think I quit around 2 years ago. So what was that? The mid-teen seasons?
Who was the last character who came out while you were playing?
I quit before Baptiste came out.
Okay, so since then we've had Baptiste,
Sigma,
Echo. I think I'm missing one.
I think you are too, because I feel like there was 4 characters that have came out since I've
Were you
quit.
playing with Wrecking Ball?
Yeah, I played Hammond.
Okay.
Ash was the last person that came out before I quit. Has there really only been 3 characters?
That's all I can think of off the top. I'm sure I'm wrong. Any viewers, if you want to message us in the comments and let us know what we're missing, but
yeah, I feel like we're missing someone.
But yeah, I love Overwatch. Phenomenal game. I still do play it to this day. But like I said, that's one I pretty much only play on PC.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, such a good game.
I think it has gone downhill since I quit, but of course I'm biased towards that. But whenever I was playing it, as much, again, just like with fighters, as much as it pissed me off, I really enjoyed it. I love team-based games. I love the class system. I wish more multiplayer games would do a class-based system like Overwatch, where each character is unique.
I know you haven't played it. I've been playing recently Valorant, which is not on the PS4, but it does a unique combination of the class-based system from Overwatch with the tactile, purposeful gunplay of Counter-Strike. And that's a really good one. I love the class-based element to it. Like, that's just such a cool mechanic in that game. And Overwatch, I mean, other games have kind of had it in the past, like League and most MOBAs have that kind of thing, but like Overwatch kind of perfected it outside of the MOBA genre.
Right, because I've played MOBAs before, and I like the class-based system in MOBAs too, but it was different, because MOBAs are kill the ancient, or whatever it's called in League, and the goal is always the same. In Overwatch, there's multiple different game types and stuff like that. But if Valorant ever comes to console, I probably will try it. It seems fun.
I think that would be a difficult one to come to console, just because of the way gunplay is with the controller. I think would be hard, but I think it's definitely possible, especially as we go forward with tech. Like, I'm sure there's ways that they can think of, or like even just give you the ability to plug a mouse and keyboard into a console.
Which you can do that now.
Yeah, a lot of games don't like in Overwatch, if you try and plug in a mouse and keyboard on a PS4 and Xbox One, you'll get banned. But
really, I remember whenever I was playing, Jeff Kaplan himself said, "I don't care."
Yeah, I think it's probably more of a recent thing, because like inherently, I would say mouse and keyboard just has a little bit of an advantage because of how precise you can be with your movements. But I mean, I'm not knocking console. I play many a console game.
Right. So. But no, you're right. You're just... Yeah, there's no debate.
So my number 3 is going to be Infamous Second Son.
Ooh, yay! Infamous representation. Wonderful.
I love the Infamous series. I will say, Infamous Second Son is probably my least favorite of the series.
That's fair.
Which I would say gives the series pretty high regard, considering my least favorite one is in my top 3 of the PS4. But the other 2 don't even appear on the PS4, so I obviously couldn't put them on this list.
But we can agree that 2 is the best.
Yeah, 2 is by far the best. 2 is great. But Infamous Second Son, phenomenal game. It introduced so many unique powers that I've never heard of.
Right.
Like neon powers.
And digital and shit like that.
The video game powers that... At the end, you do get like... Oh, I don't want to spoil it. Well, it's like a 6-year-old game.
It's very old.
If you haven't played it, you're not going to play it.
Yeah.
At the end, when you beat it, you beat the final boss, you get like stone powers, and you're like an earthbender, which that was pretty cool. And I feel like Delson himself, he has smoke powers.
His conduit power is he can absorb other powers, and he starts with smoke. Yeah,
he gets them from that escape prisoner. And the smoke powers were cool. You can use them to like fade through vents and stuff. I remember watching the demo for that game, and that game being the reason I wanted to purchase a PS4.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had loved 1 and 2, and seeing what Infamous Second Son could do on the PS4, I was like, this is a game I gotta play.
Oh, yeah.
It's also one I need to go back to in Platinum. I don't very frequently Platinum games, but it's one I'm so close on the Platinum already, I just need to go and get it.
It's so easy, too. All of the Infamous games are pretty easy to plat.
But yeah, love that. I would love to see another one in the future. I know the team that makes it, Sucker Punch, they are currently about to release Ghost of Tsushima, which I'm also very excited about. There's a high likelihood that game could be on my top 5 when it comes out. But since we're recording this about 2 weeks before it comes out, we'll just have to wait and see. I'll give y'all an update once I play it.
Sucker Punch, if you're listening to this, please start working on Infamous 4. Thank you. We love you.
Oh, and Sly Cooper.
Oh, yeah, we need Sly 5.
Like, anything Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper would have been 1, 2, and 3 on this list if it had been on the PS4. I just miss Sly Cooper. Please come back. I miss you.
We miss him so much.
Go ahead with your number 2.
My number 2 is Boy of Dad, God of War.
Such a good game.
It's incredible. The story, top tier, dude. Kratos, best dad. We love him. We love the whole game. It's beautiful. There's no loading screens. How did they do it? I don't know. It's incredible.
It's such a phenomenal game. And I gotta tell you, I played 5 hours of God of War 1, and I've never played any of the other ones.
Like the first one from the PS2?
Yeah, from the very first one. And I've never played any of the other ones. And I got the newest God of War on PS4 and was blown away. The thing I didn't like about the previous ones, I'm not a big hack and slash guy. And the older ones were very much hack and slash games. And I didn't like Kratos. He's just an angry, screamy man.
Yeah.
And like, he's just angry.
He's got an interesting backstory, but he has no personality. No, his personality is mad.
And the new game just introduces, like, he's still that angry, hates the world guy, but like, now he has a kid.
He's more mature.
Yeah, and I don't know, the way that they told that story, there are several. That's one I definitely don't want to spoil, because if you haven't played it, you have to go play it. The story is phenomenal. The character writing is phenomenal. Some of the moments in the game are some of the most impactful moments. There were a couple things. There are some callbacks to previous games, and like I said, I never even played the older ones, that even hit me just because of the cultural icon that Kratos has become.
Oh, yeah. I love that it's Norse. I love that there's different types of mythology, like, within that universe. It's not just Greek. You add in Norse, too. And well, I don't want to spoil, but that might not be the last batch of pantheons we see in this series. We don't know. Yeah,
and such a good game. My number 2 is Marvel's Spider-Man.
Oh, of course. Of course.
I am the biggest Spider-Man fan
ever. No,
I can't say ever. That's not true. I'm just such a huge Spider-Man fan. I loved Marvel Spider-Man. And I couldn't be more excited for Miles Morales.
Oh, yeah. If we were doing this list based on just how fun the game was, Spider-Man would definitely be on the top 5. Oh, it's just so incredible. I loved Doc Ock in that game. He was such a good villain, too.
He was so good. Honestly, one of the things that I liked is the Sinister Six appears in it. They are not super prominent. Like, you have fights with the majority of them, and they have characters. But the cool thing is, like, you don't have big interactions with them, because this is Peter Parker 6 years or whatever into him being Spider-Man. He already had those big interactions with them.
The world's already established. Yeah.
Like, those characters have already had their time with Spider-Man. It's now Doc Ock's time to shine.
Right.
And like they're more accessories to the story. And I would say they do a pretty good job of showing that like Peter already knows these people. Like he's already dealt with them. I think they do such a good job with the Peter Spider-Man like duality of like, even when he's Spider-Man, he's still dealing with Peter stuff. Mm-hmm. And even when he's Peter, he's still dealing with Spider-Man stuff.
But they're two different people, too.
And, like, he just always has to be both of them. Mm-hmm. There's no, like, turning one off. And, like, that's such an interesting dynamic that I think they nail. And it's such an important thing to the comics that they nail really well in the game.
It felt like I was playing a full run of a comic, and it was just Mamma Mia, beautiful.
I will say the DLC was a little lackluster. I enjoyed it. I didn't really care about the villain Tombstone. No, Tombstone's.
No, I think you're right. I think it was Tombstone from the first DLC. I think it was Tombstone.
Okay, yeah, Tombstone. It was okay.
Yeah. What about the other two? I never even played the other two.
They're just a continuation. It's like a full story between the three. That is one of the only games I've ever platinumed. The other one being Job Simulator, and that took like 2 minutes. But I did everything that game to offer. I collected all of the suits. I found all the backpacks. I took all the pictures, including the hidden pictures. Mm-hmm. I did literally everything that the game had to offer. And then even after I platinumed it, even though I didn't love the story of the DLCs, the gameplay was still so fun that I like finished all the DLCs. Like I have every trophy that game has to offer.
Right.
Like even though I didn't need some of the DLC ones for the platinums, I just didn't want to put that game down. And it's definitely one I anticipate going back to before Miles Morales comes out, because I'm very excited for Miles Morales.
That game was really fun to platinum. Mm-hmm. You can't say that about a lot of games.
That's most of the reason I don't platinum games, is because I don't like the tedium of like perfect starring all of the challenges and like collecting all the collectibles, but like the swinging and like exploring in Spider-Man was so good that like I just wanted to keep doing it.
Also, I'm gonna say it, Yuri Lowenthal, he did an incredible job as Peter.
And I love the fact they use his Peter in Marvel's Ultimate Alliance.
Oh, do they?
On the Switch. Like, they use his voice for Spider-Man in Ultimate Alliance.
That's good.
So he's kind of like the established video game Spider-Man now.
Good,
and
he deserves it.
Yeah, such a good job. He also voices Sasuke and Ben in Ben 10 Alien Force.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So he does a really good job in those as well. Okay, time for the big money. Your number one best PS4 game.
Ooh, the head honcho.
I think I can guess it. I want to hear you say it.
It's not hard. You know exactly what it is. It's Persona 5 Royal. No contest. Oh, what can I say that hasn't already been said about Persona?
Say this. So, I've played just the first palace of the base Persona 5 game.
Kamoshida,
Tell me why I need to play the rest of it.
Oh my god. Okay. So, you have only met 3 of the Phantom Thieves, 4 if you count Joker.
Mm-hmm.
There are 5 more you need to meet. All 5 of those characters are beautifully written, just as much, if not more, than the ones you've already met. I would argue these 5 are better written characters. Some of them are more interesting. You get to deepen your friendship with every single one of these people, and several others. Kamoshida, though he is a good villain, isn't even among one of the better villains in the series. The final boss in Royal is my second favorite video game villain ever, only being topped by Handsome Jack himself. Oh, man. The gameplay is incredible. I have learned to love turn-based games because of Persona. And I know you You kind of like it already.
I'm hit or miss on turn-based. I'm a huge Pokemon fan, but I think video games have gotten past turn-based. Like, I don't think it's a necessary thing anymore. So when a game does it very well, I'm very impressed by it.
If you're not Persona, Dragon Quest, or Pokemon, you're probably not going to be doing turn-based combat from now on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Final Fantasy VII didn't even do it with their remake.
Final Fantasy 15 didn't either.
Yeah, so a lot of games have went past that, but Persona has just perfected it so well. I would argue it's just as good as Pokemon because there's type advantages and everything too. It's not super hard to learn it.
It was definitely one I enjoyed. Like I said, I've played through Kamoshida's Palace twice now, and just kind of stopped at that point. I probably plan on just starting over one more time with Royal this time instead of the base game and playing all the way through. I loved what I played. The soundtrack was phenomenal.
That does not change in Royal. They add a lot of new music, and every one of those songs slaps.
That was such a good soundtrack.
Incredible.
And then my number one is going to be God of War.
Of course.
I know we already talked about it, but just like that year, 2018, was such a good year for games. At the beginning of the year, I started with God of War. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Then we hit September. I get Spider-Man. Also in my top 5 of all time. Also in my top 2 of all time.
Right.
Such a good game. And then at the end of the year, we also got Red Dead Redemption 2, which was among my top choices. And honestly, at the time, coming right off the heels of playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I was considering it as my game of the year. At the end of the day, God of War was my game of the year, but when you hit the top 10, there is such a little margin between how good the games are. It's so hard to decide this game is 2 and this game is 3, because you like them each for their own reasons. Like, comparing Spider-Man to God of War is difficult. They're different games. Spider-Man is lighthearted and fun and comic booky, whereas God of War tries to tell this deep personal story.
Right.
And like, that's just a hard thing to compare to one another. But like, God of War is just the next step that video games needed to take in storytelling. It's the next step that brings them closer to the way that films tell stories. And films tell such amazing stories, and video games have been trying to get there with several huge successes, like BioShock Infinite. Such a good game. Such a, I would almost call, cinematic game, but one that could only be told in the form of a video game.
Right.
You couldn't tell the BioShock story as a movie and it be as impactful.
Unless you separated each game into like 2 or 3 movies, but even then.
But even then, part of it, especially Infinite, that's another one with how good the story is. I don't want to spoil it. With the ending of Infinite, that wouldn't have been as impactful if you weren't playing as Booker.
That's true. If it was just another character. And I've watched people have video essays about this, and part of the reason why video game stories are so impactful is that you feel like this is you. You feel like you're Kratos when you're playing God of War. If Kratos was just another character, it probably wouldn't be as impactful. It would still be great, I think, but it wouldn't really hit you as much because you didn't control this outcome.
Well, and the other thing, and why I think in general video game movies are just typically bad, is video games are typically at least 10 hours. And a movie's over in an hour and 50. Nowadays, with all these huge blockbusters, maybe 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, 3 hours is the max.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, video games, you are with these characters for a long time. You spend so much... at the 2 hour mark, I didn't care about Atreus in God of War.
Right.
At the 2 hour mark, I could have taken or leaving Atreus. At the end of my, 20 hours with him, Atreus is such a well-written character.
He is. You can't make that in a movie.
No. And God of War just, I think, is the first time we actually break the divide of, like, video games are as good, if not better, in some cases, at telling stories compared to film. Just such a phenomenal game. If you have not played God of War, you have to.
It's art.
Such a good game. So that is our top 10 list. We're going to go ahead and break for a minute and get a message from our sponsors. And welcome back, everybody. So real quick, before we bounce into our next segment, I do want to mention 2 other games before my viewers crucify me for not being a true PlayStation fan. I cannot speak for The Last of Us or Horizon Zero Dawn because I have not finished either of them. I will say up front, The Last of Us didn't catch me from what I played of it. I'll give it a try again. I'll give it a go. I know people love it. The gameplay just didn't catch me, and the story was not the instant hit that I was told it was going to be. I wasn't hooked from the get-go. And then Horizon Zero Dawn is one I enjoyed playing. I just need to go back and put the time into it. So there, I talked about them.
My dad just finished platinuming Horizon. He liked it quite a bit.
I liked what I played. I just need to go back and do some more, I guess. It's coming to PC soon. Maybe I'll just wait and play it then.
There we go. My favorite PlayStation game is a game I played on PC.
I said that like twice.
That's true.
Awesome. So, next I wanted to talk about, as someone who's played the majority of the PlayStation systems, how does the PS4 compare to previous PlayStations? Like, when you think about your favorite PlayStation of all time, is it the 1, 2, 3, or 4?
It's the 2.
The 2?
The 2 is my favorite because I have the most nostalgic connection to it. It's probably still my most played system ever. I had a PlayStation 2 for over 10 years of my life. My first fat PS2 still works somehow. And it has my favorite game of all time. Has a lot of my favorite games of all time. I mean, I love Jak and Daxter. I love the old Ratchet and Clanks. Yeah, 2 is my favorite.
I will say that 2 is also my favorite because of 2 words that I'm going to continue to preach on this show until someone does something about it.
Sly Cooper.
Sly Cooper. Where is Sly Cooper? I miss him. He was a good guy, and I want him back. And I'm happy. I'm very happy that Ratchet and Clank is back. I love Ratchet and Clank. But where is Sly Cooper?
And where is Jak and Daxter, damn it?
I didn't play Jak and Daxter, so I don't care about that.
Well, that's fine, but I'm going to rant on my own.
So, I mean, overall, I think the PS4 was amazing.
I think the PS4 is my second favorite PlayStation.
I never owned a PS1. I was a huge PS2 player, and I got a PS3 very late in the game just to play a couple of games, being the Infamous series. But the PS4, I mean, in terms of tech, obviously there's no comparing it to the PS2. Like, the PS4 is light years ahead.
Of course.
But, like, the PS2 just... when I think of the PS2, I think of these huge classic hits. Like, that will forever be associated. And in all honesty, as much as I love Spider-Man, and I loved Marvel's Spider-Man on the PS4, it is hard for me to associate a Spider-Man game with a PlayStation just because I associate it with comic books and movies.
Yeah.
Like, that is a tough one for me to be like in 20 years, I don't know how much I'm going to think back to the PlayStation 4 and be like, oh, Spider-Man was so great on that system. I know it's only on that system, but like, I don't know. There's just a little bit of a disconnect with it not being a Sony property.
But Spider-Man is a Sony property, technically.
Sony has the rights to all the stuff.
Yeah.
But like it will always be a Marvel property to me.
That's
like
true.
It's a Marvel thing.
Like the new Avengers game. I'm gonna think of it as a comic game, not a PlayStation game.
Yeah, which, I mean, in fairness to that one, it's coming to all systems, so...
Even so.
But yeah, I love the PS4. I gotta say, probably the PS2 is my favorite, though. Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank. I know for you, Jack and Daxter, I as well put a ton of time into Battlefront 2. That was such a good game. Galactic Conquest is a mode I really loved, and I wish they'd bring it back in the same way to a newer Battlefront game.
I loved Galactic Conquest. I know you didn't play them, but I also love the old Godzilla fighting games on those.
There was a Hulk game, and you know I'm not the biggest Hulk fan. Total Destruction, I think.
That game
was
slapped.
so good.
That game slapped. It was so cool.
Good. You could like smash a car and then break it in half and have each half of the car as one of your fists.
You have car hands.
It was so good. But yeah, the PS2 was so good. The PS4 has been amazing. If I had to pick, those two would be at the top. I don't have any nostalgia for the PS1. So like, I've never even, I don't know if I've ever played one. So like, that's not ever going to be in the running for me.
PS1 is the worst PlayStation. I never owned one, but I did play it a lot whenever I was really young. The only nostalgia I have to a PS1 is Crash and Spyro.
Yeah, and even those, like, the Crash Bandicoot I remember playing was on the PS2. Like, Wrath of Cortex. Yeah. And, like, I didn't play the Crashes that everyone goes crazy about. Like, they just announced Crash 4.
Yeah.
I have no nostalgia for that. Like, that's awesome that those people are going to have it, but, like, that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. And you never played the Insane Trilogy, did you?
I played a little of the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, and I liked that. I am not a huge platforming fan in general, and I think I'm about to make a hot take.
Oh, no.
I think Crash has very bad gameplay from the little bit I've played. I think the 2.5D and the running against the camera for platforming is not fun.
It hasn't aged well, that's for sure.
I think Spyro does a lot better with its like 3D platforming stuff, and like it has some cool stuff. That's one I actually wouldn't mind going back and playing the Reignited Trilogy all the way through because I enjoyed what I played. But like Crash has never done it for me. The gameplay infuriates me in not a I want to keep playing this way, but in a I wish this didn't exist way.
But you remember whenever the Insane Trilogy came out and everybody was talking about how hard it was?
Yeah.
Just because those mechanics haven't aged well at all. People
and
were
also
saying that it was like the Dark Souls of platformers.
Also, I would say in general, games aren't as hard as they used to be. And that's not to be like a gatekeeper, but like it's mostly because as tech has evolved, it's easier to make mechanics understandable and like accessible. Whereas like older games, like the technology just didn't always permit that.
They didn't even know what checkpoints were back then.
Yeah.
They were very rare.
So, I mean, that's just a franchise. I don't know it'll ever catch me. But now, leaving the PS4 and going into the PS5, what are your expectations for the new system?
Ooh. It's interesting. I don't really know if I have any expectations that I didn't set for the PS4. Of course, I expect better netcode on a lot of servers.
I mean, I guess my big thing is there's always been this back and forth between Microsoft and Sony, whereas like the Xbox versus the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 2 killed them.
Yeah.
The Xbox 360 versus the PS3, at least in the beginning, the Xbox 360 killed them.
The 360 did better in America, easily. Yeah.
And then we got to the PS4 and Xbox One, and like no contest, the PS4 demolished the Xbox One.
Yeah.
As an Xbox fan, I had a 360. I bought a One at launch. The PS4 just demolished the Xbox One.
Yeah.
There are no Xbox exclusives that I was like dying to play, whereas like PlayStation had this huge library of exclusives. And like when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter that the Xbox One X has more power. than the PS4 Pro if there are no games on it that I want to play. Like, the power only matters if there is content behind it.
Right.
Like,
and they don't really.
And that's like the big thing about the PS5. I know a lot of people are like, I hate the design. It's not, from what we've seen so far, it's not quite the specs of the Xbox Series X. But like, none of that matters if they have this lineup of games. And the lineup of games that they showed off, Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, the second Horizon game, Bug Snacks. Like, they
Game
got
of the year.
the content behind their technology. It doesn't matter. Like, superior technology, to quote, I've been watching Silicon Valley a lot recently, to quote that, superior technology loses out to average technology all the time because it either hit the market first or it just had the content behind it. 4K DVDs took forever to kick off because no one filmed in 4K. It only would look so good on your 4K television that it wasn't worth the price. Now, sure, but we're in the same bubble with the whole 8K now. We're like, no one films in 8K. I'm not going to buy an 8K TV. It's only going to look so much better than my 4K.
You have to wait with tech a little bit. You have to wait until it becomes more normalized.
And I think the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 5, even if, from what we've seen, doesn't have quite the specs of the Series X, and they're very comparable. It's hard to compare them. Like, they are very close. So far, they've shown me such a better lineup of games. And I mean, for me personally, as such a big PC gamer, I'm never going to play an Xbox exclusive on the system anyway because I can play them all on PC. They all come to PC.
Exactly.
But like, I guess to the person who has to choose between the PlayStation and the Xbox needs to show us something to play.
They do. I actually wanted to get to that. There is no such thing as a Xbox exclusive anymore because everything is on the PC.
Well, and to be fair, like, Halo, what's the new one called? I don't remember what the new one's called. The one coming to Xbox Series X, the newest one. Halo 6, whatever it is.
Oh, Infinite.
Halo Infinite, yeah, that one. No one is going to play that on a PC without incredible specs. Like, yes, I have a 2080 Super and a Ryzen 9 with 32 gigs of RAM, but like, I'm in the minority there.
Yeah.
Like, people don't have that as a computer for the most part. Like, that's what my money goes towards, is like, I put all of it into tech and video games because that's what interests me. People who are like casually playing video games and want to buy their $300 to $500 box and be able to play video games, you got to give them a reason to spend the $300 to $500.
No one's gonna buy an Xbox just because of a Halo.
Well, and I would even say that's not necessarily true because the original Xbox started to pick up because of Halo 2. Like, it started to make runway against the PS2 because of Halo 2. But Halo hasn't been what it used to be in such a long time, and we don't know anything about Infinite. People
want the same highs that we got from 3. And we haven't gotten that since then, so everybody's expectations kind of low. And Halo's I'm not gonna say Halo's dead, but it's
not what it used to be.
Yeah,
Halo used to be a system seller, and it's not that anymore.
A lot of people consider Halo 3 one of the best games ever, and I can honestly agree with them. But Halo and Gears are just dying out. People don't want to play them much anymore.
Even Gears does significantly well. Like, Gears 4 and Gears 5, unlike the Halo games, were both received phenomenally well. But those also both have a more niche audience. They're not as widespread as the Halo series are, because Gears is very macho, big people, big guns.
Chad.
Yeah. And like, that doesn't ring the bell for everyone. Yeah. That's not what everyone wants to play, where Halo kind of has mass appeal. Of like, anyone can hop in and start shooting.
It has the COD appeal. It's very similar to COD. But even then, that doesn't fit everyone's standard. I don't really play games like that anymore.
And I don't either. And I think that's the thing that Microsoft needs, is to branch out with some more exclusives. Because I can probably count on my hand what they have. They have Halo. They have the Forza series. They have Gears of War. They have Sea of Thieves, but that's an ongoing game. I highly doubt they're going to make Sea of Thieves 2, and that also wasn't met with great response at launch. It's a very good game now, but at launch it was kind of the No Man's Sky of pirates.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And I'm sure I'm missing some, but like there's
know.
a reason that I can't remember some of the other ones. It's because they don't stand out.
Yeah, they don't have any nostalgic platformers or anything like that they can just bring back.
Well, and to be fair to them, they don't have nostalgic platformers, but they do have some good newer platforms. They've been kind of doing well in their... I don't want to call it indie because they're published by Microsoft, so they're not indie, but they're indie-sized games. Cuphead, Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Those have been met with huge response, but those are also available on
The Switch.
Not just...
Yeah, well, Cuphead's on Switch.
Cuphead's on PC.
Yeah.
And Ori and the Blind Forest, I think, is on like everything.
Is it?
I think so. I think Will of the Wisp might only be on PC and Xbox, but Blind Forest is on everything. Microsoft has a lot of good. They just need to keep pushing it.
And I don't think they're doing the best job of pushing it.
Yeah.
As opposed to Sony, where they have a ton of good, and they do keep pushing it.
I'm hesitant to see if Sony fumbles and we get that flip-flop again of Microsoft being on top. So far, I don't see that as being the way that they're going with what they just showed off. That PlayStation 5 reveal and all the games was a solid lineup with some cool stuff.
I know I'm biased, but my first impression of the PlayStation is higher than the Xbox.
I think the Xbox is doing a lot of really good stuff. The Xbox wants to be more of an ecosystem, whereas the PlayStation wants to be a box.
Yeah.
Microsoft wants you to be able to buy it one time and play it on everything, which like smart delivery is such a cool thing of like Cyberpunk's about to come out. You can buy it on your Xbox One and upgrade for free to the Xbox Series X version.
I just read that they're doing that with Avengers also.
And with a lot of those games, Sony's letting you do the same thing, but they're also leaving it up way more to the developer. They're not pushing it themselves.
Yeah.
And like that's a feature I'd love to see, but it's also a feature they don't have to do since they're on top. Since they're on top, they know people are going to buy their stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So last question about this. What is one Sony franchise you would like to see come back for the PS5 that we haven't seen in a while? If you had to pick just one.
Oh, that's hard. My nostalgic side says let's get Jak 4, but my logical side says let's get Infamous 4.
Well, how about this? I'll say Infamous 4, and you say Jak 4.
Okay,
that
deal.
way we get both of them.
Deal. Yeah, I would love a second Infamous with Delson. I want to see that world more, but we also haven't gotten a new platforming Jak game on a PlayStation since 3, because Jak X is a racing game, and a lot of other Jak games have come out on like side games. Like there was one on the PSP or the Vita. I think it was the PSP a long time ago, but that one sucked, and people aren't going to play that, you know. So I would really like Jak 4. Even though it doesn't really need it, I think it's a complete story on its own. I still want it. Infamous 4 would be great.
My big one besides Infamous would be Sly Cooper 5. Or, honestly, if they gave me the Spyro and Crash equivalent, like their collections for Spyro, like if they gave the Spyro and Crash treatment to Sly Cooper and rebuilt Sly 1, 2, and 3 from the ground up.
Yeah.
They would not have a faster sale from me. I would be walking to their studio to hand them the money.
And I doubt you're the only one that wants that.
I would adore that. And that just sounds like such a good thing. So now I want to go ahead and get into the Gemini Kast question cup. So every week on the show, my guest hosts will work together while also competing in the cup. At the end of the calendar year, the guest who has the most points will win a special surprise. You'll have 20 yes or no questions to guess a video game character, location, or item that I am thinking of. You may only take one guess as to what the actual answer is, and viewers are welcome to submit suggestions to the cup to me at geminikast@gmail.com, GEMINIKAST@gmail.com. And our suggestion this week actually comes from fan of the show, Mr. Ethan Decker.
Oh, thanks, Ethan.
Yeah, so you have 20 questions to answer, or to figure out what Ethan is thinking about. You may start when you're ready.
Okay, so, since this is a PlayStation podcast, is this character from a PlayStation exclusive game?
No.
No, okay. Was this character on the PS4?
Yes, this character does appear on the PS4.
Okay. Did they exclusively appear on the PS4?
No, they did not.
Okay.
Oh, I also didn't say it's a character.
It sounds like you just did.
No, I
didn't. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so this thing or place, this noun. Is this thing from a game developed by Sucker Punch?
It is not.
Insomniac?
Nope.
Naughty Dog?
No.
Ooh, okay.
You're at 6 questions.
Okay. Ooh, this is tough, being put on the spot. Is it a character?
Yes, it's a character.
Okay. I shouldn't have asked that. I already knew that.
But now you know for sure.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Ding 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 ding. Ding 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 ding.
Is this character exclusively a video game character? Okay, has this series been like a movie or a show or something else?
No.
Okay, so it is exclusively a video game character. Have I played the game?
Yes.
Is it one of my favorites?
Yeah, I would call it one of your favorite games.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is this character male or female? Or is this character male?
No.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot it was yes or no. So it's female.
Feel free to think out loud.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a female, exclusively game character. On the PS4 and or not just the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
It is not developed by one of the big three. I've played it.
Mm-hmm.
Are they from a fighting game?
No.
Are they from a shooter?
Yeah, you'd call it a shooter. Yeah.
Okay. Is it a character from Overwatch?
No, it is not a character from Overwatch.
I don't know if we were going to go 2 in a row for that one.
Oh, you listened to the last episode.
I did.
How sweet.
It's from a shooter.
I'm going to clarify something you asked me.
Okay.
It is not necessarily from your top 5.
But it's a game I've played, and I liked it.
You liked it, and I'm fairly sure you listed it as one of your favorites. But I'm to clarify, because I don't want to throw you off, it's not in your top 5.
Okay.
Well, it might be. I'm not specifying that it is in your top 5.
Okay. It's from a shooter.
Ding, 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 ding. Wait, that's copyright.
Oh no! Edit that out.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh gosh. So it's a female or... Well, I asked if it was male and you said no. That doesn't necessarily mean it's female. Is it female?
Yes.
Okay.
That is 15 questions. You have 4 questions and then a guess left.
Shit. So it is exclusively from games.
It surprises me.
It's a shooter? Okay. Do you play as the character?
No, you never play as this character.
Okay.
Oh.
Is this character from BioShock?
Nope.
Shit. Is this character from Borderlands?
Yes.
Oh, it is? Okay.
You have 1 question left and then your guess.
So they are playable.
No, they're not playable.
Oh, they're not playable. Okay. Is this character older or younger?
I can't answer
Oh,
that.
shit. Okay. Is this character, let's say, above 30?
No.
Is it Tina?
I need a full name.
Is it Tiny Tina from Borderlands?
On the 20th question,
Yes!
you gets it. Tiny Tina from Borderlands.
I got it!
Ooh, that was close. I wasn't sure.
Oh, I didn't know if I was going to get it either.
So Jonah is now on the board with 1 point. We're going to go ahead and continue doing this every week. So once again, if you have any suggestions or questions for the show, feel free to submit them to me at GeminiKast@gmail.com. Geminikast@gmail.com. Thank you, Jonah, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
It was a pleasure.
We hope to have you on future episodes, and if you like this show, please keep listening. Please like us on whatever platform you decided to listen on, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.